Hello and welcome to Programming the Lazy Way, a sequence of short videos for beginning and not so beginning programmers. I'm Will Briggs, creator of C++ for Lazy Programmers, where you can find more stuff like this. For today's video, you need to know functions, and it wouldn't hurt to have heard of ampersand parameters because that's part of today's topic. Suppose that I want to swap a couple of numbers. This function might be my first attempt, but when I run it, it gives me the wrong numbers. So what I'll do is I will draw a diagram and trace through. I always do this when I can't make sense of what's going on. It's a walkthrough, but specifically it's a visual walkthrough. So let's do what the function tells us. We're going to give it x goes into arg1, so that's 5, and y, or 10, goes into arg2. Then we set arg1 to the contents of arg2, like it says here, and then we set arg2 equal to the contents of arg1, which it already is, and that's a mess. Why didn't this work? Because when we were moving the 10, there was no place to put the 5. It's like trying to swap things between your hands when your hands are full. You need a temporary holding area. So let's go for a version that has a temporary holding area. And we'll put in the 5, the 10. That's the copying in part here. Temp gets whatever's in arg1. Arg1 gets whatever's in arg2. And arg2 gets whatever's in temp. Looks like it worked in the diagram, but when we run it, we'll see that it's not working at all. They didn't get swapped. Maybe our diagram wasn't complete enough. We didn't have anything for main, so I want to start with main this time. Here's main before swap is called. And now we'll call swap. We've got these pipe things here to pipe things from x into arg1 and from y into arg2. These are parameters, so we make copies. And we'll go through the same process as before, as laid out in the swap function. Yep, okay, so we swap the 10 and the 5. And then we're done with the function, so we return from it, and that didn't work. We swapped arg1 and arg2. We just never got around to doing anything to x and y, which is what we wanted. So we'll try ampersand parameters. Now, ampersand parameters aren't just copies like with the ordinary parameters. When you say int ampersand arg1, you're saying arg1 isn't going to be a copy. We're not going to copy this 5 over. Instead, arg1 is going to be this thing that's passed in, which in this case is x. It's going to be x itself. It's like a temporary alias. So, using the ampersand parameters in this new diagram, we go through the process again. And this time when we swap arg1 and arg2, we're really swapping x and y. So when we're done and swap function goes away, x and y remain changed. Now, the point about ampersand parameters is definitely worth knowing, but my point today is that it was easy to see because I drew pictures, and I kept them current, and I could see exactly where things went wrong. I find these useful for other things too, understanding recursion, understanding dynamic memory, especially including linked lists. So if what's happening to your variables isn't making sense to you, draw yourself a picture and do a walkthrough. Please leave your comments below, subscribe to this or my Facebook group or page for more tips, and stay lazy.